Hey, Michael. Good to see you. Good to see you.
Great to see you. Yeah, yeah. How's your day going?
It's good. It's really good.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'm excited for the
Awesome.
presentation.
Extremely excited. Yeah, thank you all for joining Webfor's Digital Marketing Quarterly for our monthly webinar. We'll be kicking off in the next couple minutes here as more people start coming in. I appreciate everyone attending.
Yeah, just seeing if I can. Okay, yeah, see. Okay, cool. I can't see whether or not people are joining, it looks like. Um, but maybe you
Yeah,
can
up
on
top
your end.
there's that ticker, but right now it's only showing if you hover over um, the actual presentation, it's only showing YouTube and X. So
Okay.
it's not actually showing uh, Facebook or
Yeah,
LinkedIn.
I
Yeah.
gotcha. I,
Yeah.
I don't see it on my screen, so
Oh, okay.
on
Okay.
my side, so it might just be for your side.
Yeah. Yeah. Makes sense.
Cozy Cabin Kitchen. Welcome. Glad you're here.
Yeah. Drop. Thank you for that reminder, Jason. Please drop where you're joining us from in the chat if you have a moment. We'd love to hear where everybody's coming in from. Hello, Kyle. Great.
Hey, Kyle.
Great to have you join.
Love the profile picture.
Looking real professional. And I think we could get kicked off in just a few minutes here. Does that sound good to you, Jason?
Yeah, let's give everyone just a couple more minutes.
Yeah.
Get
Yeah.
everyone rolling in here. I think we could start by 10:05.
Okay.
Maybe a little bit
Perfect.
sooner. We'll just give
Yeah.
folks a minute.
Well, I know I am excited to be learning about CRO today, and nothing more fun than doing a site clinic or live site auditing, right? Because you can uncover a lot of knowledge and just real world expertise in that scenario. So
Yeah, we'll
that'll be
see. We'll see. No pressure, right?
no pressure,
Come on.
Jason.
We're
No
just going to
pressure.
be painting some happy trees
Yeah,
and getting some
exactly.
waterfalls in there.
Yeah,
Paint a
yeah.
good picture. So
Dropping golden
we'll
nuggets.
see.
Yeah, absolutely.
CRO is tough because there's a lot of ways to do things. There's just a lot of approaches, and there's a lot of theory that's involved
Yeah,
in all of it. It's trial and
yeah.
error, trial and
And
error.
that's where I guess, the data is kind of critical in that scenario, right?
Yep, that's right.
Awesome. Well, great to have you join in from Washougal Cozy Cabin Kitchen. Really appreciate you joining the live stream. There's going to be some great information shared today. Hey, Trisha.
You're in the wrong account, Trisha. February 13th. I hope all of you got some great plans for tomorrow. I hope you're all, getting your stuff sorted there.
Not doing last minute preparation like
Yeah.
me.
Yeah. No last minute prep. Hope you got flowers.
Very important. It's very important.
It's a thought. Michael said earlier, it's the thought that counts.
Absolutely.
If you're just joining us, let us know where you're from. That would be awesome. I'm located here in Vancouver, Washington. I've been here for most of my life. Lived in San Jose uh, for the first 10 years of my life. My dad relocated up here, and I've been here ever since. Love the area. Love exploring Clark County, Seattle, and the Columbia River Gorge. It's just such a beautiful place.
Yeah, I similar experience coming up from California, but I spent the majority of my life over in California and moved up to the beautiful Pacific Northwest a little over 5 years ago and just fell in love with it. Columbia River Gorge, like you mentioned, is just one of the most beautiful places to spend your time hiking, waterfalls, just the river, so much beauty. And Vancouver's just an awesome spot. So
Mhm.
I also live up in Vancouver near Jason. And yeah, like I mentioned, been here about 5 years now. Hey, Rasul, thank you for joining from Kazakhstan. That's awesome to have you attending.
All right. Well, I think we can go ahead and get started, Michael.
Great, great. Yeah. Well, I will get things kicked off and I'll hand it over to you and get out of the way, Jason. Um, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Webfor's Digital Marketing Quarterly. I'm Michael Cortez, partner and marketing manager at Webfor, and I am thrilled to introduce our guest speaker today, Jason Wright. Jason's not just an expert, he is a mastermind in the digital marketing world. He holds the roles of partner, president, and director of creative at Webfor, expert of all things. With over 20 years of experience shaping the digital and multimedia landscapes, his expertise spans across CRO, web design, SEO, and much more. And really, Jason's passion and talent is uh, just, it's something I truly look up to. And I'm just extremely grateful to work alongside him every day because he's such a talented person. Um, he's also an industry speaker and a thought leader in our industry. Today, Jason will be sharing insights and experience, offering us practical advice and innovative strategies into the mind of a CRO expert. Get ready to be inspired by a leader whose knowledge and enthusiasm for digital marketing are truly unmatched. Let's dive in and learn from one of the best in the business. Everyone, please join me in welcoming Jason Wright. All right, over to you, sir.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Michael. Well, I think
Yeah.
my job here is done. I don't know if I can top that. I'm out of here. Just kidding. All right, let's dive in. Let's talk about CRO. I got a couple things for us today. I got a little mini presentation here. Just talk about some stats for a few minutes. Uh, probably add just a little bit to the intro, and then we're going to get into a couple tools, a couple examples, and then we'll do some live demo things. Got a lot to cover in a short amount of time, but I think you're going to get a lot of value out of this. So let's get into it. I wanted to touch briefly right at the beginning, talk about CRO stats and what that means. Conversion rate optimization, or CRO, is defined in a lot of different ways by a lot of different folks. But essentially, it's the science of taking what you have from a digital landscape or some type of product and presented in another way. It could be social media or other platforms. How you take that information, how you get people to click, to call, to fill out a form, to take those sorts of actions. And a lot of it is creating cases, developing theories, trying, seeing if stuff works. Might fail, you learn from it, you try again. You might fail, you learn from it, try again. And it's about making these incremental improvements. CRO is not an overnight sensation. It's a long form process of gathering data, testing results, gathering more data, testing results, and keep improving from there. It's really quite interesting when you get into the user behavior side of things and learn more about what people actually think versus what you think. And that's the thing that kills us the most is the bias that we have towards our own digital product because we made it. It took us 8 hours to build, 20, 30 hours. I spent 10,000, 3,000, whatever it is. We get really attached to the work that we produce, even at the business owner level. But at the end of the day, it's about the consumer. It's about who's getting into the product and how that they're going to engage with it and whether or not they're going to take action is dictated by a range of things. If you're just joining us, thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. I always enjoy having these presentations and sharing insights and all of that stuff. Michael, if you could change the QR code banner thing, if it could go in the top right, that would be awesome. If not, it's okay. For today, we're going to dive into lots of things. High level, I've been in this industry for about 17 years, so a long time. I've done all kinds of things over that period of my career. I started at a piece of wood that was my desk, that was from literally the junkyard or a junk pile, and a steel beam that was bracketed to the piece of wood that was then like glued or drilled into the side of a wall while everyone else had really nice desks. I started doing link building back in 2007. and I've done a little bit of everything since. Today, I'm president, creative director of Webfor. I am an industry speaker, as Michael referenced, but I've worked with a lot of different businesses over the years, including Tony Robbins personally, Chet Holmes from the Ultimate Sales Machine, worked at Crop Pot, Clark College, WSU, streamers, celebrities, other groups, and that's just part of just some of my experience in the last 17 years and some of the brands I've worked with. But I've worked with everybody from your local carpet cleaner all the way up to big brands. And all of them matter to me because at the end of the day, it's about creating impact, driving results, helping people grow. Because at the end of the day, if you're helping businesses grow, you are helping their community, you're helping them, they're growing their business, they're hiring, they're helping the community thrive. And it's a full circle that's really important to me. Um, here at Web4, we're really about building businesses up. We test things, we break things, we build again, and we keep driving things forward to build the kind of future that we desire. So let's talk about stats. This is a big one. Trust is such a huge one. When someone comes to your website, you usually got like a few seconds to convince them that this is the place for them. And you can see 81% of consumers need to trust a brand to buy from them. Well, how do you do that? Well, there's a lot of ways to do that. A lot of times it's how they feel about your brand and the experience they're having with your brand. Does it look like a good site? Does it look like it was built recently? Does it work on my phone? Can I get to the menu? Is the call to action clear? Do their products look good? Are you a restaurant? Does the food look good? What does that feedback look like from the elements of the website designer? They make key decisions based off of that. 7% is how much conversions increase when you increase site speed. So important. It's getting less of an issue here and there these days because people are getting better at site development, but it's still critical. We see it all the time. Websites loading really slow. Getting a site speed that's under 1 second would be phenomenal. Under 3 is ideal, but really 1.5 to 2 is that sweet spot we see a lot of people come in at. The faster site loads, the better. Someone's on the train, they're on the subway, they're looking for a flower shop. They don't want that website to take 10 seconds, 15 seconds to load because their stop's coming up and they're going to have to stop looking at their phone. They're looking for solutions quickly. So having a fast site really, really matters. Video is another critical component to your site. That's a challenging one, really challenging one, because first thing that comes to your mind is, I can't make video. I don't have that kind of money. I don't have the production. I don't know what I would do. There's some simple things you can do. If you've got a nice workspace, if you've got a nice clinic, you got a nice, practice somewhere, you've got a nice restaurant, just take your iPhone, take your Samsung phone, whatever it is, your Android, and just take a nice 1080 or 4K video of you slowly walking through the door and into the restaurant, and just take some slow moving panning shots of your location. And then someone can take that and put it together and make this nice little 10-second loop that plays in the background of your site in a particular space. 64% of consumers purchase a product after watching a branded video. Video has been and will continue to be the future. Being able to communicate your product effectively in a short form format, whether it be Reels or YouTube or that sort of thing, will drive impact, it will drive sales. This is a really interesting one and something that is not quite website related, but it's an important part of this process, because when we talk about CRO, we're talking about that whole sort of journey of a user to get into the website from a Google search or something like that, browse the website, take an action. But then there's a whole other component on the other side of that, which is you, the business owner or the marketing manager or whoever you may be. It's that engagement with the consumer to then turn them into a close. And so if you don't use a CRM right now, you may want to think about using one, something like Insightly or Pipedrive or HubSpot. There's a number of them that you can look into. But CRMs can really help you track and understand your data, which is going to help you get better and better and better every day, every week, every month, every year about turning potential business into actual sales. Okay, a few more stats and then we're going to move on. For those who are interested in driving people through funnels like paid advertising, Google Ads, that sort of thing, having a landing page or a funnel page is super critical to that experience. There's a few different content page types. There's basically your standard content page, then a landing page, then a funnel page. Funnel page is like a multi-click engagement with the user. So you get into a page, you pick a course type, maybe for example, you select an option, you hit next, you select another option, you hit next, then you buy. Landing page is when you come in, it's stripped down, it's not your full website, the navigation's gone, there's some stuff in the footer, and then you'll see it. If you look up some type of courses, personal coaching, other things, you'll see these like really long form. It might, it can't fit in the screen here. You'll see these long form pages that it's like a video, and then there's more headlines, there's a video, and there's more headlines, and another video, and then there's a testimony. It kind of makes you sick because it's so long, but you're still scrolling and you're still looking at it. Those are landing pages where you're building up content and context for the client. You're convincing them why they should do this, the deals you have, that sort of thing. Here's another stat on page speed. Increasing page load speed from 5 seconds to 1 can triple your conversions. Again, speed is so critical. Okay, let's get into some demo things in just a second. I want to show you a couple tools that you might be interested in using. So Crazy Egg and Mouseflow and Usability Hub are really awesome tools. Mouseflow is a cool one, relatively inexpensive. If you're really into the marketing analytics and attribution, I suggest testing this out. What it does after you put the script on your site is it tracks user behavior, and it produces things that are called heat maps, which shows you where people are moving their mouse, where they're scrolling, and where they're engaging. There's also recordings, which can be very helpful. So if you have a really complex site, Mouseflow can capture those recordings, assuming they've accepted cookies and that sort of deal. And then you can look in the back end and look at their engagement and see how they click and how they interact. And I'll tell you, about 60% of the time, we'll find that there's some kind of friction point that the user encountered which prevented them from making a purchase. We go in and we're like, oh, that's interesting. We didn't see that coming. Let's tweak this, and let's change the form to be that. And let's change the engagement here. And that's part of what helps you drive conversion. It's that data collection side, the analysis, and then the execution of that, continuing to test. Crazy Egg is a more simplified version of this. It's essentially heat map tracking. So here's a little example here where it'll show you where people are looking with their mouse and how they're scrolling and that sort of stuff. Again, it could be really powerful. Sometimes you'll see this and you'll see that people are trying to click something and it actually is not a button, but they keep trying to click it. So anytime you have a friction point, I think this is an important topic. Anytime you see friction with the user, you have to find a way to remove that, because every time they hit friction, you might push them away from your brand. It's like anything else. Like if you're going to the store and if you are a video game enthusiast or even movies or Legos, so you go to the store today and you can't touch the Legos anymore. Can't pick up the box. It's behind the glass case. Well, why are they doing it? Well, there's loss prevention because they get stolen a lot, and they get flipped on the market, and people make a lot of money doing that. But the consumer who isn't going to do that can't engage with the product. They can't get the texture, they can't feel, they can't look, they can't engage. And so they'll leave, not buy, and engage somewhere else online where there's less friction. So it's interesting. It's an interesting balance of things. I'll show you this example because I think this would be super helpful. So this is a tool called Usability Hub, well, formerly. Now it's called something else I can't pronounce, so you're going to have to run with me here. But this is a really great tool to run tests, get an understanding of what performance looks like for designs. So when you're looking at website design, there's a lot of bias that plays in. Designer bias, project manager bias, client bias. Everyone's got a thought. Everyone's got an idea. Well, it's not about what we like. It's about what works and what achieves the goal. So sometimes what we'll do is run tests to see what people think of these various designs. And we have a few different ones that you look at. You might think, wow, this is pretty nice. You scroll down, you've got nice image, you've got some color usage, some good different photos here, and content sections are broken up. Okay, it looks pretty good. You got this one here, which looks pretty solid. Kind of a unique, somewhat grungy style. Some little flair here with design elements. You got some artistic pieces. And then you have this version here, which I'll open up. You can see it's not the same. It's a alternative of one of the others that was designed, and it's relatively similar, right? But let's take a look. Let's go back and let me shrink this. We look at the results here. 50% of users selected this design. Only 20% selected this one. I love this one. I made this one. I also made this one, and another designer made this one. And through the test, not as many people like this. Many folks like this middle one, and most folks like this top one. So if you were to progress this test further, you would look at the data down here, which you're getting all kinds of feedback. Pictures are more fitting, the design looks good, it's inviting. I prefer this one, it looks the freshest, hero section looks awesome. So it's about driving feeling, right? People buy emotionally. So you want to push them in a direction that's going to make them buy by convincing them this is the product that they should engage with. They're here for a reason. They've got a problem that they want to solve. My feet hurt. I need shoes. I don't like my t-shirts anymore. Whatever it is, you want to be the solution to those things. So when I'm looking at this, and if you were to take this to the next step, this third design goes away. Delete. Bye. Lost. It's over. Doesn't matter. These two are still fairly close. It's 50-30. Only 50 participants were selected. So this is not statistically significant enough just yet. But what you would do next is take the feedback that you have down here, compile that, understand what that is, and then start applying the feedback to the designs and continue to make them compete until you have a winner. And typically I'm going for 70, 80% votes. And you will see that progression as you tweak and tweak and tweak. I can't tell you how many times I've done some sort of design thing, done a test of like, this one's going to win. Obviously it's going to win because it's better, right? And you take it in there and it only gets 50% of the votes or less. You're like, oh, okay. I got too fancy. Okay. All right. That hurts. Too many happy trees. All right. Scale it back. And then you go back to the drawing board, correct, test, do it again, see where it performs, test again. Now, obviously, running tools like this costs money. It uses credits, that sort of thing. But it is extremely powerful because you're really honing in. And you can segment by demographic. You can see I've just got women selected here, or those who identify as female. And then we've got age ranges and all this stuff and income. And so you can really get targeted in there and get the feedback that you're looking for. All right. So now we're going to take some of this information. We're going to roll into some demo related things. Before I do that, for those who are here, I know that you're on YouTube, LinkedIn, X, and Facebook, I believe. For those who are on YouTube and Facebook and X, if you are a business owner or a marketing manager or someone who contributes to marketing at your business and you would like me to take a quick look at your website and give you some suggestions, please put the link to your website in the chat now, and I'll give you a few seconds to do that. If you don't do that, that's fine. No big deal. Don't worry. I'm not going to rip you apart. That's not what this is. I'll pull up some other examples of sites that we can look at. So I'll give everyone just a couple minutes here to think about that. If you can, grab your site link, put it in. If not, that's okay. And then what we're going to do, and you'll see this here in a second, is that we're going to play with the calls to actions that are present on websites to kind of give you, those things that I'm thinking about when I'm designing a site or looking at improving conversion rate optimization. All right, I don't see any takers in the chat. I'm just going to double check here. Hopefully you all aren't falling asleep on me. This next part will be interesting at another level here with how we're going to manipulate things for a business website. So I did a little search earlier, and look, don't be shy. It's okay. If you know your website's not great, it's fine. It's not about having the most beautiful website. It's about having a website that works, that functions, that meets the marketing goals and moves customers in the right direction. So again, if you have a site, put it in the chat. Okay, so let's take a look. I put in dentist Seattle. All right, there's no prep here. I haven't prepped on this. This is the only prep I've done. Let's take a look at this. What do we got? We got downtown Seattle dentist. We got dental care Seattle. I did look at this one. We'll open that up in a tab and then we'll pick one. Let's do Delta. No idea who that is. And I'm sorry, dentists, I'm picking on you today at the moment. Let's look at what we got here. Okay, this is a directory. We're not worried about that. Whew. Oh, okay. All right, good. Lots of opportunity. Okay, let's see. Let's get rid of this. Let's start here. So I'm going to kind of explain it for those, who have taken driver's ed. You might have had the instructor that had you call out everything you saw on the road as you're driving. It's 25-mile-an-hour sign. There's a crosswalk, the light screen. So I'm going to kind of do that here and run through some stuff. Okay, so Dental Care Seattle. I know nothing about this business. I'm just going to take it in for a couple seconds and then I'm going to run. All right, we've got this alert bar at the top. We got this logo here, navs on the left. Interesting. We got more nav on the right, phone numbers on the right. Okay. We got request appointment. Love this messaging. Say everything with your smile. That's great messaging. Love the photo. I think that's great. This is an example of someone who's got a picture or a video of their practice or whatever that is in the background. Really important, creates trust and connects the user with who you are. Also, this is just a nice spot. It's very clever to add the flowers in there. Maybe that's something that they add every day. They got their awards sitting there. So immediately, I don't have to scroll. I'm like, wow, like that's kind of nice, right? Okay, let's take a look at the rest of the page. Friendly treatment, okay, yep, top. And look at these professional headshots. Okay, that's real nice. Okay, cool. All right. Interesting. Zoom. Yeah. Okay, get started. All right, let's get started. Request appointment. We got a map on the bottom. We got some content there. So today we're looking at not SEO or page optimization. We're looking at CRO. So I'll tell you, there's a few things that stick out to me right now. So we're going to take this screenshot here. Let me hit this. It's a Go Full Page. It's a Chrome screenshot, if you're curious. Something that I use all the time. We're going to download this. We're going to drag it over here. And we're going to do some magic. All right, so open this. This is Adobe XD. This is the design software I use, even though Adobe is actively trying to kill it for whatever reason. It's still superior to most other platforms that exist right now. Okay, let's just open this up a little bit. Let's make sure we fit in that space. All right, good enough for the demo. So what we're looking at is a 1920 by 1080 screen right now. This artboard that you have. Here's the thing that really sticks out to me. The call to action isn't clear. What am I supposed to do? What is the number one thing you want the user to do? Well, I'll tell you, most people don't want to talk on the phone anymore. Some do. Most don't. A lot of people are totally happy filling out a form, scheduling an appointment, doing things that way. So if you're looking at this and say that we hide this a little bit because everyone's screen is different, what's the primary call to action? What do you see? It's phone number, right? The action you want someone to take is probably contact or phone number. But that's a button. I'm not going to click on it on desktop. I might on mobile and call, right? That's fine. But request appointment is a better call to action for most businesses because it reduces the need to have the calls. Now, you might need to call to get clarification when someone schedules an appointment. However, reducing the pressure on your call center can be really important. So just telling people what you want them to do and giving them quick access to it can make all the difference. So I'm going to do a few things here, and I'm going to get real iffy on this. So let's undo that. Okay, so we got these different elements. I'm going to take some crazy screenshots here of things. That way I can move elements around quickly. So let's move that up there. Okay, let's grab their logo. Let's grab this. Perfect. Let's paste. Okay, good. You'll understand what I'm doing here in a second. All right, let's grab this and let's copy that. Let's paste that. Great. Perfect. Awesome. Looks wonderful. We're done. Just kidding. Okay, so let's grab a box here. Let's draw this. We're going to get rid of all this, right? We're going to kind of redesign this a little bit to stand out more and also just be a little bit cleaner and more clear for a user. So typically screen widths are at 1440. That's a common resolution. I'm just Not going to worry about the math because I never remember the math, but I'm just going to put these bars in here at 150. Okay, let's do it. Sure, 151's fine. Okay, let's put logo. Now, the one thing I notice here, you see like how massive this space is here. I think that can be reduced quite a bit, and I think it could be like that tall. And this would come up. We lose our alert bar for now. We can worry about that another day. But we can put this in here now. Let's put it against that edge. Great, looks good. Now we want to put this navigation potentially here. And I honestly would put this navigation up here. So we've got this, what I sometimes refer to as control bar navigation. People call it different things. That's okay. Let's do pay online. And then we're going to do forms, V, copy. Okay, there we go. Let's do forms, contact us. I'm going to go all caps instead of lower, just preference, no other reason. Let's do that. I do think lowercase can come off sometimes as, depending on your demographic and age of user, it could come off as a little, I don't know, like it's broken or not correct or too fancy. All right, this is probably a terrible font for this, but it's all good. All right, let's move this. Let's take this. Let's group. Let's get rid of that. Let's put this here. Okay, great. We'll just stick that there. Now, things are a little bit weird with this situation because scaling's a little bit odd. I might bump the navigation size up a little bit, make that a little bit larger, because you can see we're kind of in this position where we got a lot of weird white space. I think the nav's okay. I think you could get away with not having home up here, so let's just cut that off. You can get rid of that because most people know that they click on the logo, it takes them home. I would think about adding testimonials or reviews, that sort of thing. Service is good, maybe like treatments. There's some other things that you could build in there to kind of fill in that navigation. Typically, though, you don't want to have more than 5 items, I would say. I would suggest on sort of a regular basis. Now, what I'm going to do here is draw a little button. So let's take this box. Let's go V on the keyboard. Let's do a little rounded. They're going full pill on us. And then in their logo, they have this really great blue right here. So let's take that. Okay, great, perfect. Now I'm not trying to make perfect buttons right now. Okay, I'm just, again, doing some example work for you all. All right, let's zoom in. We're at 150. Let's go 100 so we can kind of make sure things are designed proportionally here. And let's do a schedule appointment. All right, let's go like that. Let's go white for now, just for this test. Okay, let's do that. So now we're getting kind of a clearer picture. You can kind of see what's taken shape here. And then let's do let's do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0. Just a fake phone number there for you. Let's use this color and let's put it there. We can get fancy here. I could open up Noun Project, which is a great icon pack that we use for some of our projects. Let's get a little call icon. Don't yell at me. I'm just going to pick one. Let's go with this. Okay, let's grab that. This can be a little tricky to grab because it's just a border color. And we'll just leave it that. We'll scale this down, way, way down. All right, maybe a little corny right now, maybe not. When you're working on these sort of things, you'll adjust and make things different as you're progressing. You might want to add like a linear gradient in here. Take this, maybe it goes a little bit lighter, maybe it goes just a tad, darker, so you've got a little bit of a 3D effect there. But the difference that we're making at the moment is we're drawing eyes to where we want them to go. And I'll put this all together here in a second. This appointment button could come down here. We could also go with a gold color, let's say. Let's pick, let's use solid color. Let's get out of the thing there. And then let's go, green's a great color for dentists too. They've got sort of that vibe going on. It meshes well with those flowers in the background. We'll just pick that. Okay, so not everything jives together visually because, we're just piecing things together. But I'm going to take this and paste this. Let's move it over here. So the difference that this makes can be astronomical, because you go from here. There's a certain aesthetic element to it. It's simple, it's elegant, that sort of thing. Calls to action aren't super clear, but when you start manipulating things in this way, the calls to action get clear, and what you want the user to do starts to stand out a little bit more. And you can keep playing with colors to help draw the eye. Don't use solid black. We use a bit of a gray. We can shrink this down a little bit more, and then we'll leave it and move on to another example. So that's a quick way of looking at this. The reason why it's structured in this way is that, from right now, from an aesthetic standpoint, yeah, it doesn't look quite right. It's not intended to look right now. This is about driving conversion and organizing structure. So we read in the Western cultures left to right. So we're going to always start looking at a website from the top left, which is logo, and then across to the right. We typically will look at a website in a giant capital Z shape. And, there's some different studies that say some different things, and that's totally fine. But if we just bump this up, and you could just imagine this being like a lot bigger, because I can't make it bigger. What happens is we look from this side all the way to the right. So we're going to hit this call to action. Then our eyes come down diagonally like the Z shape through the middle. We're going to see the messaging and the redundant calls to action. And then our eyes start tracing across the bottom of the page. So even here, you might do something else. Let's move our little Z out of there. You might do something like this as a little bit of a teaser. Now, it depends on what you want to accomplish from a branding standpoint. There's a lot of things you can do. There's not just one way to do things, and that's totally fine. Let's drop this transparency here to like that. And then I'll just make 3 boxes, and then you can just imagine with me where I'm going with this. So here you can put this in. These could be little service blocks. Then we can move this button up. And if I could, I might move this button up, and that would be hidden. You wouldn't see it. But essentially what you start getting before a user has to scroll, you get more of an experience. And I'll change this color since it's kind of blending with the background. So this could be one way of doing things, where you've got your calls to action, you got your navigation. It's redundant information, yes, but that is intentional because you want to capture users where they are. And then you can have these other boxes that are down here. And sorry, I'm a little obsessed with the color selection here. So let me just pick this sort of dark green, blue kind of color, and then we'll just bump this back up a little bit. Okay. Let's see. There we go. Okay. So these could be service boxes down here, right? So you could highlight new patient, crowns, bridges, cleanings, that sort of stuff. So what you're doing is you're turning this from just aesthetics into a tool, more of an asset to bring users' eyes across the screen, getting them to engage with your call to action, and then pulling their eyes down to the bottom of the screen. And you're trying to get them to continue moving their mouse down and moving their eyes down the page, because you want them to know right out of the gate, who am I? What do I stand for? What's my call to action? What do I do? And this will accomplish that in this screen. Okay, let's move to another example. So I'm just going to give everyone a minute in case you just joined. Thank you for joining. If you are on YouTube, X, or Facebook, you are a small business owner or a marketing manager, if you have a website that you'd like me to take a look at right now, put it into the chat. While you're doing that, or potentially doing that, I'll go look for another business. Okay, let's see. Let's go back over here and let's do a search for who do we want to check out this time? What would be good? If you don't have a website, do you have an idea on a topic? Food, construction. What do you got? Anybody? Help me out. I know you're here. We could do HVAC, roofing. Oh boy. Okay, so I'll look up that. Anybody else? All right, let's look up roofing. Let's pick on someone out of the area, so no one gets upset here. Again, we're just painting happy trees. Let's do roofing in Idaho. Let's see. New roof, Idaho. Okay, great. Let's see who we got. So these are going to be the top search results, right? Clothing boutiques. Okay, I'll take a look. Let's see. Roof replacement. Okay, a lot of articles. Rebel Roofing, Idaho. Okay, this will be interesting. Okay, so I might not mock this one up, or I might. Depends on how crazy I get with this. I'll just take a screenshot now so I have it. There's a lot of stuff on this page. That's good. Okay, let's put this over here for reference. And maybe I can just pull this up instead. That'll be easier for us. All right, so here's something that I see right out of the gate. And let me go full screen so we have a little bit different view here. So I just pulled a screenshot, right? Let's just move. There we go. So there's a lot going on here. We're not allowed to scroll, okay? No scrolling. We're just taking a look. Well, what's missing? Is there anything missing? Well, I actually think they have the opposite problem of the previous site, which is there's too much going on, right? There's a lot of elements that are pulling our attention. Just see where your eyes go. One of the tricks you can use if you're curious and you're looking at other people's sites and you're doing your own investigating, close your eyes for 3 seconds. I'll do that now. 1, 2, 3. Open them up, and where do your eyes go? If your eyes are scrambling, then we have a problem. If it's kind of like, oh, this thing and oh, that thing and oh, this thing, we have a problem. It's not a huge problem, but we have a problem because you're creating friction, and that kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier. So what am I seeing here? We've got reviews up here. That's yellow. We've got this yellow bar here. So that's like really drawing my eye. We got yellow in the logo and orange in the logo. We got orange in the nav. We got request estimate here, but then like where that's placed tells me as a user there must be a problem. So we'll have to look at the live site. We've got a phone number here. It says get a quote. Okay. Then we've got language. So we got roofing repair and replacement, Boise, Idaho, Meridian, Idaho. So they're over optimizing their hero messaging. So I know that they're doing an SEO thing. They're trying to get local results, but this is also where you can drive the most emotional impact right out of the gate. And it's a critical component for being successful. Free quote, free inspection, 0 down, as low as $79 a month. Wow. Well, that's pretty amazing. That's cool. That's great. Phone number again, preferred contractor. So they're trying to say, you should trust us because we're a preferred contractor. Not many people are going to have a deep association with that, not like they would of just seeing your work or seeing a video. Some of you might disagree with me. Pink Panther's a cool character, but I think it kind of takes away from, I don't know that's exactly Pink Panther, but it kind of takes away from what's happening here. Then we have this form, then we have this wave, then we have this background image. We've got all these fields. The fields are in orange. It's actually violating ADA, so you can't read the text so well. The contrast ratio is low. That's going to get you in trouble with the government. Nobody likes that, right? We don't want to be in trouble. Okay, so let's take a look because I'm curious. We'll move this out of the way and let's open this up. Let's go back here. I'm curious. Oh, that's weird. So the request estimate is a little drop-down thing. But what's wrong with this picture? What is wrong with this picture? Go ahead and fire away in chat if you have an idea of what you think is wrong with what's going on here. I'll give you a couple seconds. Okay, I'll tell you. Contact's not the primary call to action. What's the primary call to action? Request estimate. Why is it in here in a drop-down? So we see this a lot. In this case, home can go away. Contact can go in the footer. Careers can go under about. Do you see how I just cleaned that up? Now you have roofing, gutters, gallery, about. Super clean. You would do the same thing here I just did on the other site, which is take the phone number, move it to the left, potentially. Now they might like phone calls because there's some challenges with roofing. It's a very expensive product, so building relationships is going to be important. So you still want that there. However, getting a quote should be the main thing. Also, something I just realized I totally passed over is we have contact, quote, phone number, offer, quote, inspection, inspection. So what are we doing? But it says request a quote. So what are we doing? Don't we just want to get a quote or get a consultation or something like that, or just get in contact? So what I would do is I would change all this language, change the navigation, like I said, put request quote as the button, phone number to the left. This should say request quote. You could have a request inspection, separate page, separate form. Then you would change this to submit quote, because request quote looks like something you would click to go to a page to request quote, but that's the actual submit button. So if you have an older demographic, you have someone who's had their home for 30 years, they come here and they're like, okay, yeah, I want to request a quote. Click. You would probably see that in Mouseflow or some of those other tools because it's confusing. Instead, you would want to have some centered messaging, and do some other things. Let's see if I can hack this up real quick. Okay, so we got some elements that are already made over here, so we can kind of play with this and not worry so much about style. I am going to get all sloppy here, so I apologize. Okay, let's do services. Should really be the naming convention there, but it depends. You can test that all day long. Materials is a popular one. You could look. You could then have gallery. I think work is better, but that's preference. There's not really strong studies one way or the other. About you always want. And then we would have the other stuff I mentioned. So let's take this bar that I made. Let's put it here. Let's just place that over that, and let's cut some of this stuff off here. Okay, good. We'll just cut all of that off. In this case, we might put things to the right-hand side. Let's group that. Not everything here is, going to be to scale and all that good stuff, but this is, pretty small right now. So let's get this opened up a little bit more, and then we'll take this, we'll highlight all this, we'll even out the space. Let's see. I am spacing the spacing. There we go. Okay, put it right there. Great. We got this button. Let's steal that. It wouldn't necessarily look like this, right? But here I would start diffusing things. Now here I would have the orange. This would be request quote, right? Let's put quote in there. Okay, cool. This button is kind of hideous now to me, so bring this down. Great. And then here I'd put, for them, that you might want to have a large phone number, so I would put that phone number here. Maybe do orange again, and then we'll do 360-123-4560. Great. Put that there, and then we can put navigation in the center. Maybe let's center that. Okay, this bar appears a little strong, this black bar. So you might want to change that to be something else, right? Because it's taken away from a lot of the visuals here. You can do a little play on this yellow. We'll do that now because it's still going to draw your eye, but it doesn't have to be as strong. So we can kind of lighten that up like that. So now you can kind of see we're controlling the movement of your eyes down the page. And in here, I would probably move this messaging where it says get 500 off up to the top bar up in here. Get 500, and I'll just leave that, right? You put it up there, obviously make it better, look better, put that in there. Then you get rid of this section. So ideally, you have this area as a new photo area. You get a form on the right because that is one way to drive conversion. Not one way, but not just the only way, but one of the ways, and it's worth testing always. You get yourself a little form here. You maybe place it there and make it a little darker just so it stands out for us. And then you get some messaging. Let's bring this to front. There we go, perfect. And let's say we craft beautiful roofs that protect your investment. Okay, not the best messaging, but what it does is it taps into what the quality of our product is and what it does for you. And this is an emotional statement here, right? Because protect is going to create a feeling for you, and investment, well, it's money. So yeah, protect my investment. Owning a home is an expensive endeavor, right? And then in here we would have our button. And let's bring to front. Let's send all this to back, send to back, so we don't have to keep doing that. Okay. And you would do something like this. So you might think, okay, oh gosh, button, phone, form. It's a lot. It's a lot. But I would absolutely do this 100% and just test it. See what people do with it, right? See how they engage. Capture them where they are. I'll take this, center this across, and then we'll do the same thing here. Let's copy, paste. You can see how just the number of elements get stripped down and you can get more focused, right? It just brings more focus to the elements. And sometimes you get pushback when you're in this space because there's some sameness, like sites can start looking a little bit like the same. But that's a little bit on purpose too, because we know what works and we know what's going to drive business and sales. Yeah, exactly. The CTAs are better, they're more obvious, and yeah, consistent language. If you wanted to add inspections, you could have a little, subheadline here that talks about this. We'll drop down the boldness. When you're doing site design, it's not always about like the pizzazz of things. It's a functional tool. Again, we like to get fancy, but most of us aren't Nike. We can't get away with all kinds of, just a picture and a photo and then someone buys our product. That's just not always possible if you're not a well-established brand. So you can add a little bit more messaging in here, and then you can speak to, we offer in free inspections, this kind of service, this kind of material. You can link the free inspections text using orange. And then back here, you can have your roofing photo. I could probably go grab one here. I'll just do it. Let's see, roofing photo 1920. Okay, great. We're just gonna, not the year 1920. Whoops. Let's go. Sure. Yep. Steel. Yep. Give it to me. Okay. Perfect. All right. Let's take copy, darken this, go gray, not black. You want to try and avoid full black. Let's see. Let's go drop this down a little bit. Great. Perfect. Send. All right. Change to, I don't have color palette there, so let's just do white over here. And just side by side, you're like, yeah, there's a lot of bells and whistles here, but this is calmer. It feels cleaner. It's heading in the direction that's going to drive more conversion in a lot of cases. But that's why you test. You do something like this. You could do an A/B test and see how these perform. All right, got a few minutes left here. E-clothing boutiques. Okay, so let's just do clothing boutiques. I cannot spell that word. I'm looking on my other screen. I don't know why I'm doing that. That's okay. Okay. So interesting enough, one of the examples sites that we have came up. The difference is one that I had mocked up previously. Let's just pick a different area. Let's go with let's do Seattle again. And I spelled it wrong, so let me just fix that. All right, top 10 this, top 10 that, top 10 I don't care. Show wow, what a name. I'm afraid to click on this. Let's find out. Okay, well, I mean, there's some branding for you. So, taking a look at this, all right, kill me with the pop-ups, get me out of here. Well, this is interesting. How do I, okay, so not obvious. I think pop-ups can be good, they can be powerful, this captures your attention, but you got to make it clear on how to close things. The more technical savvy folks are going to understand this right out of the gate. Others might not. So, you got to make it clear. Okay, looking at this, oh boy. So don't know anything about the brand. Don't have any background, no knowledge. Here's a few things I'm thinking about right out of the gate. What's the primary call to action? Well, it's a shop. So we assume that the user is shopping for clothes. This comes up, click. All right, now I want to dive in. One of the challenges that I see here is that their offers should stand out more. So in this case, you're in the e-commerce side of things. I would have your offer stand out a little bit more. There's free shipping on all orders over 99. Okay, that's kind of cool. You could probably use a little more contrasty color. It could even be this dark, that might just be true black, but you could use black or a very dark gray and then increase the font size of this. One of the things that's a little troubling here is this font selection. I don't know if that's Courier. It kind of looks like it, but this is a little hard to read. So look at that menu. So this is a interesting pick. Again, I'm not prepped for this, and so just looking at this is, I'd be curious to play with some A/B testing here, because I'm willing to bet that if you were to change this font to something that's more common, not necessarily Arial or Helvetica, but something that's a little smoother, not as sharp, and is easier to see, I bet that will increase clicks and activity on the site. We've seen it before statistically. We know that that happens. You also have to take into consideration the demographic that they're pitching to. So we've got this fine person here. Let's see what other photos they got. They got some young folks here, some other fine folks here. So this isn't always pleasant. Their companies, there's a conflict in their branding, in my opinion. So they have this sort of elegance, like casual elegance going on in my mind. We think of horses, and they've got show horses or show ponies here. So they're at a different level, like Clydesdale, right? So beautiful, well-groomed, well-maintained. And their font style says typewriter. It says like old days, pre-computer typewriter, and it sends a signal in your brain. So something more modern and smooth there can drive some positive impact. The categories are a little challenging. You've got brands. It might be better to have brands in its own navigation. Do you see how this is just sort of there everywhere? So it takes away from the focus. It creates a little bit of friction. You could just have a navigation item that says brands, and you hover over that and you can select those. But really, this should focus on clothing. And you could have in here a menu that's shop by category, which is great. But then you could have new arrivals. You could have clearance in there as well to fill that space where the brands we love are at. And then maybe instead of just sort of a random photo there, which I know there's intent for that, but we're looking at clothing, and that photo says more jewelry than clothing to me. You could just put a picture of a latest product there that just sort of rotates automatically, and you can click to view product. So those little subtle changes can make a huge impact. I'm not going to mock this one up, but let's take a look at one other area. Let's go sale. Okay, so tiny fonts. Anyone who's vision impaired is going to have a little bit of challenge reading this site because it's got tiny fonts. This color I don't think is a black. It's that brown burgundy when you hover. It might be a dark gray, but it's just hard to read. It's very hard to read. Scrolling down, that's how the product titles are designed. There's no view product link, so that's a little disorienting. Savvy users know that you hover and you can click and see things, but it would be nice to have a view product link here, or an arrow, or just something that indicates that. So I'm just going to click on a product, and then we'll wrap things up here. Okay, so again, the type treatment is really challenging. Photos are fantastic. So you see, hopefully you can see what I'm seeing, which is you've got this elegant site and brand and incredible photography, and then a font that works contradictory to that, which is a deliberate choice of theirs, which I think is potentially trying too hard to be different when the difference is just your brand and the quality. And the difference is not how your site is designed, but the experience that you give the customer. And you can see that they put a lot of money and investment into how people perceive them online. So yeah, again, it's hard to read, not very pleasant. I think the way this is formatted is kind of odd to me. Like 132 still stands out really strongly, and it should be a little maybe lighter in color, because that's kind of just pulling my eyes in weird ways. The add to cart should be a brighter color, in my opinion. Neither one of these colors, just something that draws your eye a little bit more. The social media icons are actually pulling my eyes away from add to cart, and those are less priority. I'd probably change those to like a light gray, so they don't stand out as much. And of course, the font choice we mentioned. There's reviews. It doesn't really stand out. They don't have reviews listed here. So yeah, just a few things to think about. Kind of some interesting cases there with, websites that have a lot going on. We looked at this one, right? We didn't look at this one actually, but this dental care one, nice modern design, just missing some call to action related things. We've got this one that we looked at, which is we want to be elegant. We invest a lot into what we do, and then the typography is just so hard to like engage with. It just makes me want to leave. It's strange, and not everyone's going to be like that. I don't find it interesting. I just find it frustrating. And then the roofing contractor, where they've kind of got everything going on, and there's things that you can do to strip it back and make things a little bit more polished and streamlined. And we did that over here by looking at how we can improve these experiences, just consolidating things down in some ways, and also just really driving people into those spaces that you want them to go. So with that, I'm going to stop there. There was plenty to go through between stats, tools, and some overview here of how I tackle some of these things. The whole other next portion of this, and maybe we'll do a part 2 in a couple months, is looking at the more analytical side of things, because this is theorizing, developing cases, and then there's the actual implementation and testing. What did this button do for me? But we've seen in a lot of cases we've changed. In one scenario, we changed apply now as the main button. Literally nothing else. Where's my XD? I'll show you over here. So we changed this one button and how it appeared at everywhere else with the language. We changed it from apply now to get started, and that increased conversions by like 36% or so. That's it. Nothing else. No color change. Not moving anything. Not redesigning the site. The button. And that's because apply now sounds a lot scarier than get started. And there's a lot more that we can get into, but hopefully that was helpful. Thank you, everybody, for your time. I really appreciate it. And if you have questions, please drop them into the chat. I'd love to answer some of those.
Amazing stuff, Jason. Yeah, and that last example you shared is just a perfect example of like how a little change can have such a major impact on the performance of the site, the leads and sales you're driving to your site.
For sure.
So that's the power of CRO in a nutshell, I guess, right there.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for doing that live site analysis. It was fun to cover a few different industries, right? From dentists to roofers to e-commerce and more. So obviously best practices apply across the board in certain scenarios as far as clear call to actions and some other things, but everything varies a little bit by industry. But that was just so beneficial, and you shared so much great information. I really appreciate you taking your time to share with everyone, Jason. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Michael. I always love doing these presentations, and CRO is not it's not perfect. It is really about trial and error. And even as a CRO person, you're going to have your own bias. Like the fonts, I feel a certain way, or the button, I feel a certain way. But at the end, let the data tell the story, right?
100%. Yeah, and looks like Mr. Kyle Greenwood had a question he dropped into the chat. If you've seen any studies on fonts and different feelings. I know I've seen some stuff on like color palettes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you seen anything regarding fonts and the different feelings they convey?
Yeah, for sure. Serif and sans serif fonts are the two main typography choices. And when you've got those sharper lines, like you do on the jewelry example, it conveys a sense of sharpness, a clinician, lawyer, like legal vibe. There are font theories, essentially, is the answer to the question. And when you have a smoother, rounded, softer font, that connects better with particular audiences. So you might have a security firm where the sharper fonts might be better because they could be working with government, they could be working with big commercial outlets, and having a sharper font can kind of like gives the suit and tie, kind of like Michael's vibe. Michael over here with his jacket, he's got his button up. It can give you a little bit more of that vibe. When you're going for elegance and subtle and artistic and um, uh, tapping into emotional buying, sometimes using the more rounded fonts, smoother fonts is going to be much better. The other thing is in newspaper, you'd used to use both. You would use one for headline and then use the body copy as like a softer font. That sort of changed over the years on the digital landscape because newspaper is something that you did a lot, and you did a lot for pamphlets and all kinds of things. So, when we look at Show Pony, I'll just bring it up on the screen again. This one, sure. So, you might have to pop that up on the screen for everybody. I'm not sure. There you go. But Show Pony right here. This is sort of a blend, and this is smart because it's tapping into both those styles. You got sort of smooth edges and then sharper lines, but this doesn't feel as dated and as coarse as this does. So incorporating potentially this style more so in the treatment here will create a better overall feeling for the whole site, and things will be feeling more cohesive overall.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you for that answer. That was great. Great info. Looks like we have a question from Mr. Getch. When you have competing data, feedback, customer segments, how do you weigh those and choose the best path forward?
It's interesting. I mean, I'd have to understand the context a little bit, but at the end of the day, it's about measuring the performance of the individual actions that a user's taking. So websites will typically have 1 to 3 actions. It might be a phone number, it might be a purchase, it might be a form fill, and then optimizing that experience for your users the best way that you can is important. I would say, generally speaking, your site's not going to be everything to everyone. So if you are an audio engineering school, you're probably going to want photos of teenagers or early college individuals on the site, have those pictures on the site that drive that emotion rather than someone who's maybe in their 30s or in their 40s, because your primary demographic is this individual. And yes, the other consumers matter. You can sprinkle some things in there, but at the end of the day, the best buyer is this person. And so you're going to target them, even if that sacrifices another group, because your biggest opportunity is over in another space. So I take the ICP, or ideal customer profile, into consideration pretty heavily when it comes to this sort of stuff, because the site's not going to be everything for everybody. And ultimately, you want to drive your best buyer through the funnels, and you use that through conversion rate optimization, through testing, through monitoring analytics performance there, and then continuing to tweak and evolve as things progress on that side.
Awesome. Great stuff there. Thank you, Jason. And thank you for staying 7 minutes over. And thank you for everyone who's attended and stayed a little over. A lot of great info shared, a lot of golden nuggets shared, and knowledge dropped by Jason. So just really appreciate your time, Jason, joining us for a fun webinar. And for those who would like us to take a look at their site, get 3 4 hours of digital marketing consulting, CRO analysis, just drop by or get started forum, and we'd love to chat, answer any questions you have, any follow-up you have from the webinar. We'd love to talk with you. Appreciate everyone for joining us for another awesome Digital Marketing Quarterly monthly webinar, and we look forward to seeing you next month. Have a great day, all.
Thank you so much.